freaking out about the way you love me, even when I do you wrong. I know that you're always thinking of me, gotta put it in a song. Your love is perfect, I have nothing to fear. You give me security, yeah. You're so loyal that I never have to wonder. You give me all that I need. I can't get enough of your love. 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 Nothing seems to captivate me quite like you do. You can have my full devotion. I'm committed to you. You're the mystery revealed, undoubted. Feels so good, I have to sing about it. I'm so happy that you hold me close. I don't ever wanna let you go. I can't get enough of your love. I can't go a day without your love. I can't get enough of your love. I won't give up on it. I can't, 'cause I need a touch from you. Hey, yeah. I can't get enough of your love. You gave me a new song, and I'll sing it all day long. I need you. I need you.
Hello. Thank you for tuning in with us today. My name is Selena. I'm the host and producer of ChristianiTEA. And before I begin, I just want to let you guys know that the opinions expressed in this live show are individual and are not necessarily representative of Spirit Live or Toronto Metropolitan University. My name is, like I said, Selena, and I have some beautiful guests in the studio with me today. You're listening to the second episode of Season 3. So I want to start by introducing familiar faces. You guys have seen them before in Season 2. Let's start with Priscilla.
Okay. Hi, everybody, or hi again.
Period.
I'm Priscilla. I believe I was on episode 3.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. I'm right.
She remembers her stuff.
I'm a singer, content creator, a little bit of a gym girly, and
Period.
I'm the VP marketing at the Society of the Creative School, which is the student society directly associated with the Creative School faculty at Toronto Metropolitan University.
Amazing. I love that. She's multifaceted, and all the girlies on the show always have so much going for themselves, and I love it. Like this, we're putting so much talent out there, and this is a great opportunity for us to build community, and I'm so happy to have you here. And let's introduce Miss Jordana.
Hi, everybody. I'm Jordana. I was in season 2. I'm going to be honest. I forgot which episode I was in.
That's okay.
But I am a communications and media studies student at York University. And I've also just recently started my own podcast of my own,
Woo!
too.
Shout it out. Tell us the name.
It is called Just Jordana.
Period.
The format's pretty similar to this one. I share a lot of personal testimonies with my guests, and we also talk about mental health and all its intersections with Christ.
I love that. That is so important. So you guys check that out. So where can they watch your podcast or listen to your podcast?
You can watch it and stream it on all platforms. It is on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon Music,
Period.
Deezer.
Let me catch up.
I'll be watching right after this.
I also have the link available too on my bio, or you can check out justjordana.com for more details.
Perfect. Thank you for that. I am so super excited. We're going to get into a lot of important discussions today. And if you're listening right now, I actually want you to think about how many times you've consciously or subconsciously compared yourself to someone else or to someone else's life. Today's episode is titled The Thief of Joy because we're going to be talking all about our experiences and perspectives on comparing ourselves to others, the problems that come with comparison, and then what the Bible says about this. And then we're going to also throw in some tactical ways on how to get yourself out of those kind of ruts because they're not good and we're better than that. Before we get into it, the verse of the day is 1 Corinthians chapter 12, verse 6. It says, "There are different ways that God works in people, but it is the same God who works in all of us to do everything." And I think this is so important because a lot of times, I'll speak for myself, but a lot of times, like, when I would compare myself to other people, I forget that I am just as blessed as them, and we are all God's children, and it's like, okay, we might not all have the same opportunities, but we still all have a chance to do what we need to do in the order that God has ordained for us, if that makes sense. And so things will get done regardless because we know that God is with us and by our side, and we don't need to worry about comparing. Like, I don't have to compare myself to the next person to see how good I'm doing in life. What do you guys think?
Okay, so touching on this, it kind of reminds me of something my colleague was saying, I think it was a few days ago, where I was saying something about how I wasn't good at, like, I would never be able to do what she does.
Wow.
In because she's more in website, like managing our website of our student group and sponsorship coordination, things like that. And I'm like, oh, that's an entirely different realm for me. Mm-hmm. And she was saying, oh, well, and she was like, oh, well, I'll never be able to do what you do. And I think it's like, regardless of, what is it? I think inherently we're all good at our own things. And like we all have that same amount of goodness within us, but it's a matter of where it's placed in our lives. So like for mine, like one of my biggest strengths is marketing, is social media. Mm-hmm. And she may be lacking in that, but I'll be lacking in the abilities to like plan out a website and reach out to sponsors the same way. But like that's one of her biggest assets.
Mm-hmm. That's crazy. And the fact that someone would have like the guts to say that to you, and let this be a warning, like, or not a warning, but a lesson for anyone that's listening. Like, no matter what a person says to you, especially if they say something of that caliber, it literally has nothing to do with you. They're just projecting.
That's true. Like she's one of my friends. Oh, like
not, I mean, in a general sense though, like, especially for like if your friend is trying to, anyways, we won't get into that. But anyways,
I love that girl down. It was just like we were just thinking about things, and yeah.
Well, you're here now and you have so many strengths, and that's the most important part. Jordana, your thoughts?
My thoughts? Well, I mean, God has bestowed different blessings upon each and every one of our lives. Mm-hmm. So we are all meant to do different things in life, and He sets the path for us.
Amen.
And sometimes when we think, oh, we want to do this thing or we want to do that thing, we feel left behind. Mm-hmm. Sometimes that is the waiting season that God has given us to prepare for the things that we want in the future. And that season can be a blessing a lot of times. I know when I first started the show, it was really exciting and awesome, but it was also a train wreck trying to coordinate so many people to come on, and then I'd have some instances where people would cancel or certain guests would come
I hear that. Tell me about it.
And I would just be in this state of discouragement, but God, just let it on me that, hey, I still have guests. I can still do this thing. I could still keep pushing forward. And, this is just a season of preparation to get me into the field that whichever I want to go into. Yeah. And again, in this verse, it was talked about earlier within us, but I just wanted to bring it out. Matthew chapter 6, verse 26. Thank you, Priscilla, for bringing it up, by the way, because I wouldn't have remembered it by heart. And it's on the realm of God blesses each in the birds and the animals, and he loves them all those ways. So he's going to bless us all and love us all in the same ways too.
Yeah, that's so important, and I love that. And rest assured, today we're coming with the Bible verses, so you guys have no excuse to not, like, open up that Bible app and get your daily streak, okay? We'll be right back. I'm going to play you guys a song. It's called Flourish by Steady, and we'll be back for the main topic after that. What do we think? I think that song is so good and it's so catchy. Did you guys like it?
I really liked it. It has a nice contemporary
Yeah.
flow to it. And it's a different kind of sound that you never really hear in mainstream music too.
That's what I thought as well. So I'm going to shout out the playlist because it's season 3 and you guys should know by now.
I love it.
But ChristianiTEA radio playlist, it's on Spotify only because Spotify is the only one that matters.
Good, tell us.
But it's linked. Excuse me, it's linked on the Instagram bio. So if you wanted something to listen to, it's there for you. Let's get right into the discussion. I'm going to set myself up first because, guys, you know, I'm trying to get content and do this show and do everything in once. So bear with me if you see some of the behind the scenes.
She's literally just a girl.
I'm just a girly. Like,
No, you're literally Barbie. That's
oh my God. Thank you. Okay, let's get into it. So, as I said before, this episode is all about comparing yourself to other people and how to get out of that rut, but like first recognizing the instances in which you've done that so that you don't do it again and fall into like that habit. So for me, one of my earliest experiences with comparison to others was actually in elementary school. And like maybe I want to say like grade 3 maybe. And I went to a Catholic elementary school in Vaughan. So that's important for context because Vaughan is like, well, at the time it was very like predominantly white. And like even though I'm half white as well, like I was always like regarded as black. And I could probably count like the amount of black students in the entire school on one hand. And then I could probably count the amount of like POC, people of color, on like 2 hands out of a whole school. So that just sets the scene, hopefully. But yeah, like I was always regarded as black, and then, which I have no problem with, but it's like when everyone looks different than you and there's like barely anyone that you can relate to in your community, it's kind of hard as a kid. And I feel like as a kid, you always want to feel included, and like you always want to feel like similar or the same as the people around you. It's just like a thing, I think. I don't know, for me at least. But yeah, like there would be times at recess when me and my friends would like sit, like, let me know if you guys ever did this, but like, did you guys ever sit like crisscross, like in a line, like one behind the other, and like do each other's hair?
Okay,
Or
yeah,
is
in
that
the
like
gymnasium, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this was like, okay, so it's a universal experience, hopefully. And like we would do this during recess, and it was supposed to be like a cutie, like girly activity, but I would always have to sit on the end because like no one knew how to do my hair or like braid my hair, and like all my friends like had straight hair. So it was my first experience of being like, oh, I actually feel so much different than them. And it was also my first experience of being like, wow, I actually wish my hair was like straight or like at least like looser curls, because it's like, dang, like no one knows how to do my hair. Like, why am I always the one who has to do everyone's hair? Like, I want to be included too. So it ties back into that. And it was just very traumatizing for me. But then obviously as I grew up, I kind of understood that obviously like there's going to be people around me at all times who can be very different than me. And there's no problem with that. Like, that's not an issue. That's not the issue. The issue was that I wasn't fully like validated and aware of who I am and the features I have, and loving that for myself. So once I kind of grew up and understood those things and like actually loved and accepted myself, I had no issues with that. And I actually was really happy that people were not all in my hair, because it's like, do you know what I mean? So yeah, now I love myself for it, and like I don't wish that I had different hair, and like I'm just so happy. And I feel like now that I recognize those things, I can heal like that inner child in me and be like, it's okay. Like if I had younger siblings, or like in the future a daughter who like experienced those things, I would make sure that she knew that it's okay, that there's people who are much different than you around you. And if you don't feel included, it's fine. You just have to like make yourself feel included at some point and like recognize that it's okay. But yeah, what do you guys think about that? Like, or what are your own individual experiences, or like the first time or a recent time that you found yourself comparing yourself to the people around you?
You want to go?
Okay. First of all, can I just say, Selena has some of like the best hairstyles out there.
Oh,
like
yeah.
whenever she's walking around campus, so it's so crazy to hear like that. That's something that
I
like,
do it for the little me, because I'm like,
I remember I literally like her style is like a stylist is literally like one of my favorites. And, like,
yeah. Shout out Rose Hairstyles. Thank you.
Yeah, no, because I still straighten my hair a ton, and like when I wear my hair out naturally, I feel like it doesn't suit my face anymore.
Really?
Like, so I like, and it's so damaged too. So I just straighten it a ton. I pull a Miss Olivia Pope.
Oh my God, but she's so slay, so it's okay.
Yeah. I like when I was younger, I didn't really like, I just didn't feel pretty, but that wasn't necessarily like comparing to other people in my grade. I feel like the form of comparison I like can remember the most is my comparing myself as a creative to other people and their practices.
Big one.
So at the start of the show, one of the first things I introduced myself as was, oh, hi, I'm a singer. And I was mentioning it to Selena and everybody here a little bit before we actually started the episode, but I'm a second year now in my program. Last school year, I would never mention the fact that I sing to people. And like Selena, like I've known her for about a year now.
When she mentioned that, I was like, what?
Yeah, I did not mention it to anybody, even though I have 10 years worth of singing experience. Wow. And I'm like starting to actually make and hopefully release music sometime this school year. And it just mainly was because in my program, I really am involved with a lot of creatives that are more hands-on, and these are people who have already been established in their respective industries. And I felt like, oh, well, it's not fair for me to call myself a singer when I don't have any projects out. I don't have anything concrete. And then it was such a limiting belief that prevented me from having so many opportunities that I could have had first year. And then for some reason, going in a second year, I would just start introducing myself as that first. And it became a conversation starter, especially for the friendships I made in first year, because they were like, oh, I thought you were just in the business side of the music industry. And I was like, no, I can hold a tune.
Yeah, she was cooking the whole time. She was cooking up. She knew.
Yeah, back in the stew, yeah.
Period.
So it was really like, I think what changed my mindset the most is an acquaintance of mine. He was like, he's really big now. Like he does a ton of like photography stuff and videography for a few different music artists. But he used to work for a student group or like volunteer for a student group here. And he used his position there as kind of leverage for his creative connections. And then I started doing that as well, where I would say, oh yeah, I'm VP marketing at this student group here. But I also sing, I also graphic design, I also do content creation, I do a little bit of this and that. And it helped start a conversation. And I think what really pushed me was some people I knew were like, I spent so much time around them, and like they're creatives as well, but like those friendships and relationships kind of fell out. And I was like, if I put that much energy that I put into them, into my creative practices, I would have achieved my dream. Like I would have had an EP by now. And that like immediately shifted me, and I was like, I don't like that I haven't done this yet. Meanwhile, they're already out doing their stuff.
Yeah.
And like comparison can be like a great motivator. Like I say, for most creative people, it's your best friend, but also your biggest enemy. And I stay true to that. Like I will compare myself like in a healthy dose, I feel. But like at the same time, I need to really rein it in. And just one of the things that helped me out the most was just reflecting on my past accomplishments and using that to help ground me, but not trying to get too in my head over it.
Yeah, I love that. And I think what you said is like so important, especially about like being able to discern the limits and the boundaries with that and everything. And that goes for so many things. Like there's so many behaviors and like motivators and stuff that you can use for your benefit, but up to a certain point until it becomes toxic and until it becomes like self-deprecating. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, I think that's super important. What about you, Jordana?
I feel the same way, especially when you said about creators, how comparison could also be your biggest motivator or demotivator. And I can see that so much similarly with shame too. You know, with shame, you feel that within yourself, and you can use that to improve yourself in all aspects of your life. But then there's also people that sit in their shame, and they sit in a victim mentality mindset where they think the world owes them everything because they went through this one thing, instead of working towards improving themselves and saying, hey, no, I'm a survivor of this thing that doesn't define me. But back on comparison anyways. I think the earliest way I felt comparison was growing up in elementary school. And
man, we went through it as kids. It was always elementary school.
Yo, this is Catholic elementary school too.
I didn't go to a Catholic one.
Elementary school, period. It's treacherous.
We share the same affliction.
I love. Okay, tell us.
So I grew up, like, I was a little bit round, a little bit chubby growing up. And and I seen the other kids, and they were more fit, you know, especially during track and field season too. That was complete nightmare for me. Everyone would be preparing, that's the word, for it months in advance, doing the track all around.
You're unlocking like the deepest memories that I've tried to bury. 10 years? Ew. Okay, tell me.
And I'm like, oh my gosh, here goes track and field season. Everybody's going to be showing off their ribbons and stuff. Here I go, last place.
Participants. The blue participant. That was my special one. Anyway.
We didn't even get participants at the time either. But I just felt so inadequate with myself. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to bring my brother's ribbons tomorrow for school show. I got it. Here I am. But yeah, and that stuck with me growing up, even through middle school and just the smallest bit of high school. That's where I started to feel more confident within myself, more confident within my body and who I am. But I think comparison constantly lives with me every single day, unfortunately. And whether it's within my body image or just within the projects I've created, I seem to undermine myself and my achievements too, and compare them to other people and say, hey, this person is more structured. This person has more consistency within their life. This person has a lot going on with their finances. This person's always traveling. And even with social media, that becomes the catalyst for for comparison.
Yeah.
And now all of a sudden you're in competition with billions of people and you think they're doing better than who you are. But the thing is that it's all a lie. It's all a facade because people play that game because they're comparing themselves to you as well. And you don't even realize how well you're doing in your life, how much blessings God has given you in your life because you've allowed the enemy to come in and to warp your mind and think that anything you've done in your life is not worth living up to because you haven't achieved anything. But the thing is, God has put this achievement within ourselves. He is leading us on the path to achieving our goals and our dreams and hopes too.
Yeah, that was so well said.
Yeah.
Wow, I love. That is so good.
Much going on in my mind.
No, literally, and that's the thing. It's like every time when I go into these episode topics, like I try my best to like organize them and like what are we going to talk about? But I love the passion that we have when we speak about these things and all the different like ideas and things we need to say. And that's just how, like we're so passionate about things like this. And it's a discussion that needs to be had. So I love that. So, okay, let's move on to our next kind of like subtopic, which is what does the Bible say about comparisons? So to start this off, I'll just tell you guys, I was on TikTok and I reposted this picture that had like two frames, like a frame on top and a frame on the bottom. And the first frame was of a man running in a race. And the caption said like, oh, I feel like I'm so behind. And then the second frame zoomed out and it was the same man and there was nobody in front of or behind him. And the caption was like, behind who? And that is like so impactful to me because a lot of times we get in our heads and think that there's so much going on and there's so many people ahead of us or we need to beat the person that's behind us or whatever it is. And the reality is when you look at it from a bigger picture, a deeper perspective, there is nobody that's in the same lane as you.
Yes.
Nobody that's in the same race period as you. And that is the most important thing to remember. So I'm like, let me repost this and I'll share it on the show Instagram so you guys can see too. But kind of going off of that, I have this Bible verse, which it comes from Galatians chapter 6, verses 4-5. And it says, don't compare yourself with others. Just look at your own work to see if you have done anything to be proud of. You must accept the responsibilities that are yours, which is like, God cleared us because at the end of the day, you have to like own up to what you are doing and not blame your actions on anyone else and not blame your actions or like no activity at all on the fact that you're too scared or like you feel like you're too behind or whatever it is. That is nobody's fault. You just need to get out of your head and like do what you need to do. So I really like that verse and I feel like it is able to kind of like reground you in a way. Because especially with social media, like that's its own topic. But it's like with social media, we are seeing so much more than we are supposed to see.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like we have too much access into everybody's lives.
Into everybody's. And it's like, it's not even into everyone's genuine lives because people only post what they want you to see. And that's like a known thing. But like sometimes when you're in it, when you're in social media, you forget forget that people are only posting
Yeah.
what they want you to see.
Like,
It's the lengths people go to. Sorry to
no,
interrupt
you
dear.
go.
Speak on it.
It's the lengths people go to put on this facade and put on this image of what their life is and try to be as perfect as they can be, like the fake jet pictures and
I
stuff.
was
Yeah.
don't know if
literally
you guys
just thinking
seen
of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's crazy. And it's insane. And I feel like we're just allowing ourselves to absorb way more than we're supposed to.
Yeah.
And social media has been the culprit of this for so long, but it's something that's like here to stay. So it's not like I would tell you guys listening, oh, get off social media. Because one thing about me, I also am a content creator. I also want to be on social media. We all want to do this kind of stuff. And it's like social media can be super healthy and you can use it to your advantage. But again, you have to be able to reel yourself back in. And like the verse says, it's your own responsibility, like point blank. So just keep that in mind.
Yeah, I feel
yeah.
like we put up a lot of, like, I can speak to it from a creative or like even as a content creator, and I feel like the girls here can understand that. Like, you put up so many excuses, like, oh, I have school, I have like work, or whatever, and it's great, like, great that you're able to balance or like you want to put those first. At the end of the day, if those things really matter to you as much as you say it does or as much as you claim to, you're going to make the time for it,
No, 100%.
regardless.
Yeah, exactly. No, it's so true. No one's gonna make that time unless you do. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, no one's
Yeah.
gonna make the time for you. Like,
You are your biggest
Yeah,
motivator.
100%.
And like, it doesn't matter your mom, your dad, your sister, whoever, they will not be as big of a fan for you as you will. And like,
It's true.
yeah.
yeah, no, I love that. That was amazing. And just before we move on to the next segment, let's maybe do like a speed round of 1 or 2 tactical ways that we can give the listeners to like overcome comparison. Like, what are 1 or 2 things that we each do to kind of like, it can even just be one thing that we do to get ourselves out of that like cycle.
I think at least what helps me is by thinking big. And when I think big, it's taking my mindset away from comparison and taking a look at all the things God has created. And you go from a scientific level to like, okay, God created the atoms. What's in an atom? Electron, proton, neutron. He created those atoms that create cells, which create fluids, which creates organs, and bodily systems, which create human beings. And then you have, where you live, your neighborhood, the city, country, the world, the galaxy, the solar system, the galaxy, the universe. And when you're able to think, wow, this is how big God has created everything. And there's only so many hours left of the day. So we're going to let these people or this thing take this little amount of time, this little amount of joy that we have.
Yeah.
And focus on that. And then it also is a quote my mother always tells me on the daily: don't let anyone steal your joy too.
Oh,
And
I love that.
comparison will be a thief of your joy, and you can't let that define your day or define your mood in any sort of way. So that's just my
Thank you.
yeah, I agree with that. Like, what is it? For me, it was just like, as much as I can compare myself to somebody else, at the end of the day, somebody is not me. Like, I exist for a reason. There will never be another one of me again in the history of the world. And like, it's like you're saying, it goes back to like a big, broad way of thinking of things. Like there is a little bit of narcissism and ego that goes into it, I can't lie, to combat comparison. But I feel like you kind of need that.
Yeah.
A little
In
bit.
moderation.
Yes. Everything in moderation, guys. What is it? And like, also it's the music I listen to. What is it? There's this song called Bright by Kehlani. Kehlani is my favorite artist. But that was like a specific song that like brought me to her. And then in that song, it's like about a young girl and a young boy that like are really comparing themselves to other people around them and their circumstances and whatever. And it was like, the chorus is like, you are what you choose to be, and it's not up to anybody else. And I like, for some reason, for me, it's like a repetition of that, almost like a mantra that for some reason worked for me. Like I've just been keen on repetition, and that's been my saving grace when it comes to things. Because like, yeah, and just finding different ways to ground yourself outside of your practices.
Yeah.
Like, because I'm so heavily involved in music and content creation, which is on social media, my volunteer groups are like in like marketing, really. And I go to the gym just to get away from that. I go into there's like this one thing of like stepping into nature to like, I don't remember the phrase of it, but yeah.
Touching grass.
Yeah. Sometimes I just need to step away from the things that relate to my passions, ironically.
Yeah.
Just to kind of be like, whoa.
Yeah.
Grounded. Like, there really nothing matters to like, this is not that big in the grand scheme of things.
Exactly. Yeah, I agree. And I think for me, it's kind of like a combination of what you guys have said. And a big thing for me is like sticking by the people that I'm super close with. Like whenever I'm feeling really down, and like I'm a really emotional person, so whenever I'm feeling really down, I just talk to my mom. I know it sounds so basic, and I think my mom is watching, so hi, Mom. But yeah, whenever I'm feeling down, I always like talk with my mom, and me and her are best friends, so she really helps me. And I talk to my mom and my boyfriend a lot about that kind of stuff. And yeah, they might be biased with the things that they tell me, but it's like it's comforting to me, so I'm gonna do that. But then aside from that, something that I try and do on my own is just kind of like Priscilla said, step out of what's happening, and like remove myself from the environments that are making me feel like I'm inadequate or that I need to compare myself to someone else. I step out of those spaces. And if I just so happen to be on campus and I'm dealing with a lot and I'm feeling that way, I will leave campus. Like, if I'm at wherever it is, I will leave. Like, and I'm okay with that. And I just feel like going into a space where I feel more comfortable and I can like ground myself and read verses or whatever it is, or just listen to music, or literally sometimes just have silence. Sometimes that's all I need because my mind is so busy. So sometimes I just sit in silence like a weirdo, and like, but it helps me, and that's just something that I do. But yeah, if you're listening and you find yourself struggling with those kind of things, just try a bunch of different like things that to take yourself out of that, and go based off what we said. It might work for you too, it might not, but just see what you're comfortable with and then go from there. So we are going to move into the tea party segment, which is always my favorite. Every part of the show is my favorite, but this is the Q&A segment where I read questions that you guys have sent in, and then we share our opinions. So in case you want your question to be featured this season, just send us a DM and we'll talk about it in the show. But today's question is, how do you navigate your faith in the dating world? And this is a good one because later this season, I have an episode that's going to talk all about Christian relationships and stuff like that. But this is kind of like just a teaser into that. So how do you guys navigate your faith in the dating world? I love her silence.
Because listen, guys, we're like, me and her, we're both single. Yeah. Selena's the one with a boyfriend.
Yeah. That's why I'll go last. But you guys go. Let me know.
You go, come on.
Okay. Well, navigation, it's really good to have a compass and a map.
I love it. We're getting basic with it. Like, literally just, no, I love it.
No, so, for the dating world.
Okay, go.
I feel like it's, to me, now that I'm more firm and rooted in my faith, I think it's very important for me to have a relationship with someone who cares and has the same kind of values and mindset. Mm-hmm. Someone that's also rooted in their faith too. Yeah. And so we can be in a equally yoked relationship. And I think it's so important.
Heavy on yoked. Like
equally.
an egg.
Heavy on equally.
Yeah. Because before I was rooted in my faith, I used to just say, okay, I was a Christian. I wouldn't mind dating an atheist or someone that's not a Christian. But now I realize how important it is to have someone that also has a relationship with God too. And they can also intercede to God for me as well. And same way I can do that for them. And that's so important because I was watching the show on TLC. It's called Forbidden Love, and it's about couples who are in relationships getting married, but they're of interfaith couples. So one is a Muslim, one is a Christian, and it really stuck out to me because I realized, if I'm dating a person and they are of God, as they say they are, to me, it's like I shouldn't have to compromise my faith or my love for Jesus over that person.
Yeah.
If a person is of God and you're praying for your man of God, or if you're a man watching this, you're praying for your woman of God, they should never have to ask you to choose them over God, because at the end of the day, they are the gift that God gave you. You can't really love the gift more than you love your
giver.
creator.
And the creator. Wow. Wow.
Okay. I have a little bias in this, like, because you're speaking about interfaith relationships. So my mom is Hindu, my dad is Catholic. But yeah. No, don't worry. I grew up Catholic, and I was like technically Catholic. Went through all like 3 sacraments, and then also like, but I still understand parts of my mom's culture and her faith. What is it? Because of like the relationship they have, they try to keep they love each other obviously, and like they'll talk about a ton of different things. They don't really talk to each other about religion, ironically, but like I see how much they show up for each other.
Wow.
Like my mom she came to church with me so much growing up, because like
I love that.
my dad would go to like a different church, or like sometimes he'd be busy with work, and my mom would literally come pick me up, drop me off. Like the people at my church recognize my mom immediately and know her as being Hindu, would never ask her to convert, anything like that. Like she's not the most devout in her religion, but she's strong enough where she wouldn't want to convert from my dad. And like I always respected that. Like I'm always gonna be like, if I date a guy and they happen to be of a different faith, that's good with me. I'd feel like if I was just dating them. I think if I'd want to like marry them, because of like how much I've seen, like my parents struggle to get married because of their religion.
Yeah.
And like because their families just were so against like religious marriages that so like I understand the struggles that go along with that. Obviously like times have changed and stuff like that, but I know my parents themselves, they would be wary if I brought home a guy who's like Hindu, for instance. Like even my mom she'd be more worried than my dad. But at the same time, I think it's more about like they believe in something, some kind of higher power, or like something that connects everybody together.
Yeah.
If
so
you
them having some sort of faith is important to you.
Yes.
As a
oh my
dating
gosh.
prospect.
Yes. Yeah. Regardless of like what they believe in, like ideally I'd want somebody who's Catholic, like like just because it's so similar. But I don't need them to be like constantly up in their Bible, like like consistently like that, because I feel like I myself am not like the most devout, but like I would never have somebody, if somebody's like, oh, like I can't stand like the way Christians or like Catholics are, I'm like, not too much now. Like remember,
don't get canceled.
Yeah. Like I'm very like, be respectful about like my faith, and I'll be respectful about yours. Yeah. That's very much how I carry myself. I only was dating one guy, and like I remember he wasn't that religious, but he still had like some sort of belief system, and we could bond over that. Yeah. And like I think that as long as you believe in something, and I'm realizing now more that I want something more serious. I'm like I've started asking, like I'm kind of crushing on this guy right now, and
now we got the exclusive.
I'm kind of crushing on this guy right now, and I remember like I saw him wearing a cross necklace in one of my classes, and I was like, "Oh, are you Catholic?" And then he was like, "Oh, like I mean, yeah," or like he said something, and I was like, "Oh, like yeah," but my grandpa is like, he was like the one like who was most devout, and I was like, "Oh, okay," and like I was just like, "Huh,
yeah." Yeah.
Maybe you're a little bit more attractive now.
Yeah, something to think about. No, that's so true. And I feel like for me, like in the past, I mean, I'm only 20, and I feel like
You're
as a
20?
you're 20, right? I've been saying that all year. But I feel like as a teenager, obviously, you're not going into like dating or relationships with a super like, oh, what's this going to look like in 10 years type of vibe. But with the relationship that I'm currently in, when we started the relationship, my mind was starting to like gear more towards that side of like, we need to be realistic. I need to be realistic with myself. Like, what are the qualities and the behaviors and the features of this person that I want to be with? And that went hand in hand with me rediscovering my faith and like taking my relationship with God more seriously. And so for my relationship, like when we started dating, I wasn't fully who I am now in my faith. I was still very much like a super, super baby Christian and like not super serious about stuff yet and not super consistent. But once I started evolving in that way, so did my partner, which I loved. Because for me, I always had a faith background, but he didn't. And so for him, it was totally brand new. And what I really love and respect about him is that he was able to be open with me, and I was able to be open with him. And he wanted to also learn more about what being a Christian means. And we started going to church together, and we do Bible studies together. I mean, we're kind of lacking on the Bible studies, but we have done, and we're going to get back on track with that. But we go to church together. And then this past April, something that changed from myself in season 1 and season 2 is that in April, at the end of season 2, I actually got baptized again, which I'm so happy about. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I'm so happy about. I was baptized as a baby. I was baptized Catholic. But for me to get rebaptized in April as a Christian was really important to me. Because it was like a conscious decision that I was making, and me and my boyfriend actually got baptized together at the on the same day. Like he was right after me. So, and it was just a really important step in our relationship too. So for me, I mean, in our relationship, I take faith very seriously, and I think now what's more important than ever is being equally yoked. And we do have those kind of conversations, and I do check in with him on how he's doing with his faith, and he does the same for me, and we pray together and all this kind of stuff. And I think implementing these faith routines and attributes together as a couple has strengthened our relationship. Whereas versus me just implementing them and trying to make myself a more evolved Christian and doing it on my own and just seeing whatever he does. But us actually doing it together has helped our relationship so much, and has helped our relationships with Christ so much. And yeah, I'm just really thankful for that. And I think every Christian or person that has a strong faith with Jesus Christ should take the same kind of route in their own way, though. And I think it's super important to be aware that if you are with this person, make sure they have the kind of like attributes and stuff that you want to see in the next 10, 20 years. Because once you're with them, you're with them. Do you know what I mean? So anyways, that's my little perspective. And I loved hearing your guys' perspectives too, because whether you're in a relationship or not, I mean, we all have our different things that we value as young Christian women, especially when it comes to relationships. So that's just kind of a sneak peek of what we're going to be talking about in a couple episodes from now. So if you kind of liked this discussion, make sure you tune in for that. But yeah, we're kind of wrapping up now. I will do the outro. Once again, my name is Selena, and that is it for today's episode. I want to thank you so much for spending time with me, and thank you to my beautiful friends, Priscilla, Jordana. Thank you for making the time and coming back, and I just appreciate your presence and everything that you guys have done. Thanks for spilling the tea with me. Follow the show's Instagram and TikTok at ChristianiTEA to keep up with the latest. All episodes will be posted on my personal YouTube in a bit, just in case you missed us live. So don't forget to check out the bio in the show's Instagram for that. And we will be back. I will be back with a few new guests next Tuesday at 2:10 p.m. So don't forget to tune in for that. Okay. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.